For now, we're going to answer a few of your questions. And where are we starting, Max?
Let's start with the list you gave me from the top. Let's start with the Southwestern Conference roundup.
Which, first of all, after
our own hearts.
The question you mentioned yesterday on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on iTunes. You mentioned yesterday on the podcast that Katy was placed on 1-year probation. What does that entail?
Kids gather round the fire.
Yes. So
let Greg tell you a tale.
I hate to say it means nothing, but it kind of means nothing. Basically, what this is going to mean is that Katy is going to be under a microscope for a year, and any little slip, they're not going to get any benefit of the doubt anymore. Now that they're on probation, if they report something like this again, where they try to then say, "Oh, we didn't know that was a rule," you're done. We're gonna make sure that we punish you to the fullest extent. Think of it like speeding, and you got off with a warning.
Yeah.
And then if you go 2 months later and you get caught speeding again, you ain't getting that warning, and in fact, that punishment might be even worse. Yeah. So this was basically Katy kind of used, and this is going to sound very harsh, but Katy kind of used their get-out-of-jail-free card. They don't have that anymore. That's essentially what probation means. Now, the cynic might say they didn't get punished at all, and I can understand that. But basically, this removes the safety net for them, that if anything else happens, and not just in football, if anything happens in basketball, if anything happens in soccer,
anything,
they are not getting the benefit of the doubt and potentially could face very big-time ramifications. But they got a mulligan. They don't get that anymore. That's essentially what probation means. Yeah. Let's move on.
Okay. Let's go to the Snow Lion.
Snow Lion 53 asks regarding Katy, and we promise we'll get off this topic here in a minute. Do you think the UIL would have made the same decision if it had happened earlier in the season? No. Simply put, I don't think they would have. I think that if this is a district game against Katy Taylor,
it's gone.
I think they're forfeiting that game.
Yep.
But I think that there was so much riding on this decision. And I think that the gravity of the situation and the implications of the decision were so far-reaching in a situation where you would kick a team out of the playoffs in the regional finals. I would even go as far as to say that if this had happened in the by-district round, they may not have come to this decision.
Right.
I think the timing of this and the round that they were in, the place that they are in the playoffs, in the season, I think that played a huge role into it. That's not to say that the UIL, again, I agree with the UIL's decision, but I think that is exactly what happened. I think that there was a lot.
There are human factors in here, and you can't underscore that enough.
Yeah, I think that is one of the factors that played into it. So, thank you for your question. What's the next question?
Paul Purcell.
Our friend Petty Boss over there at. You can follow him on Twitter at PEDIBOSS. He asked a question. Hey, how about that Cade Harrington over at Lamar? We haven't talked.
How about that?
We haven't. Yeah, there we go. Interesting. We haven't talked.
Move on to the next question.
Yeah, we haven't talked a whole lot about Lamar, who plays at the FCS level, but they had a very nice year. You know, they finished the year 5-6, which is, I know that doesn't sound great, but considering one of those losses is to Baylor. That's pretty understandable. But they get a really nice win over Sam Houston State, a really nice win over Abilene Christian. They faded kind of down the stretch. But one of the big driving forces for their year, for them all year long, has been their running back, has been Cade Harrington. And the numbers he's put up this year are ridiculous.
Filthy.
266 carries, so he's a workhorse. 2,144 yards. He's averaging 7.9 yards per carry.
Is that a lot?
21 touchdowns. He's averaging 190 yards. 190 yards per game. Oh, and also, he's a pretty solid receiver out of the backfield. He's their third leading receiver as well. He's had a great year, and it's good to see. It's good to see a local kid from Kingwood, do so well. He was the Southland Conference Freshman of the Year back in 2013, and he has been really, really good. A guy who was probably a little overlooked in high school because of his size, because because just 5'9", 190 pounds, and he was not 190 pounds coming out of Kingwood.
Right.
But he has really blossomed and found the right fit for him, and that's something that I think can't be overstated. He's found the right fit on offense. It was a great year for him, and guess what? Only a junior. Coming back for his senior year next year, and I expect him to be a stud for the Cardinals.
It's not often that you get the Southland Conference Player of the Year returning for a senior season. That's pretty impressive.
This is a guy who's going to turn out next year and be excellent. So remember that name, Cade Harrington. He's an outstanding star over there at Lamar. I know we talk so much about the FBS level, but the FCS level, he's really doing work there in the Southland Conference. What else?
Let's see here. Nathaniel Bass.
NBass55 asks, can George Ranch, that's hashtag George Ranch, get past the fast, hard-hitting Temple defense? I don't know. Because, what's funny is that in the Fix and the Pick'em video, which you can watch at texasfootball.com, where we pick all 44 games across the state, already want to know.
Yeah.
I picked La Vega. I'm unbeaten this week. It's always going to sound like I'm super confident in all my picks, right? Because I'm saying I'm picking George Ranch to beat Temple.
Yeah.
I don't feel confident in that at all.
Yeah, this is a tough one to call.
This Temple defense has been so good, and he's exactly right. They're fast. They fly around. George Ranch is going to try to grind it out with their pair of running backs, with Darius Anderson. They're going to try to grind it out, but the George Ranch defense has been excellent as well. And that's where I think the advantage for George Ranch is that I'm not sure Temple's offense is going to be able to get enough against the George Ranch defense. That's kind of where the rub is for me. For me, I think that you could call the Temple defense against the George Ranch offense a push. I think that Temple defense is outrageous.
Probably fair.
Super good. But I think that the George Ranch defense against the Temple offense is a slight George Ranch advantage, and that's where I go with the George Ranch thing. Now, I've been riding and dying with George Ranch all year. So consider that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And there's also the fact that I could totally be wrong in this, and it would not surprise me in the least.
If anyone's curious,
you picked
Temple.
You're picking with Temple. And I can't fault you on it because you're looking at their ability. They've got a lot of different weapons out there.
Yep.
Davion Curtis, their quarterback, or rather their wide receiver.
Yeah.
They can run the ball well. And that defense is the great equalizer. That defense has been great. My question is going to be, can that offense get enough against what's been a great pass rush from George Ranch, great front seven?
Fair question.
I'm taking George Ranch. You're taking Temple. I don't think there's a wrong answer here. Well, there will be, but for now, it's the kind of thing. Yeah. Let's put it this way: if you were to go and pick Stratford to beat Canadian, I'd really need to see a list of reasons why. Yeah. Especially considering Canadian already beat Stratford by 40 on the road.
That's fair.
If you're picking Temple to beat George Ranch, I go, yeah, it's a pretty good pick.
Yeah.
If you're picking George Ranch to pick Temple, I go, yeah, it's a pretty good pick.
Yeah.
It's a very close game.
Okay.
What's next?
Patrick Gwynn.
Longhorn Pat asks, who wins tonight, West Orange Stark or Belleville? Now, this is another odd question with a team that we've been riding and dying with because we love West Orange Stark. We love Cornell Thompson.
It's not really a fair question to us because we are big believers in what West Orange Stark is cooking.
Correct. We're smelling what they're cooking.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that if you want to pick this Belleville team, I won't say you're wrong. Their running back, Mac Briscoe's been a workhorse, and their defense has been pretty good and pretty hot of late. They slowed down Giddings last week. They beat Hampshire Finette. They beat Salado. Their defense has been great. And the other thing about Belleville is that they win close games. When it gets to nitty-gritty time, they find a way.
Yeah.
And that has been really impressive to me. So, I still like West Orange Stark. And I'm picking West Orange Stark not only to win tonight, but I'm picking them to win a state championship. But I think that Belleville does provide a very unique challenge that if West Orange Stark is going to lose, it wouldn't surprise me if it's here. Yeah. Because this Belleville team they're not a fluke. This is a real live Belleville team. And I think that if Mac Briscoe has a big game, their running back, or if their outstanding secondary with Marcus Ward and Kylan McDade can make plays from the secondary position, I think they've got a great shot at knocking him off. Not picking them. Certainly not picking them. But I do believe the Brahmas are going to be tough. What's next?
All right. Well, the next one is one I don't have a graphic for because it's from one Matt Tepper.
Ah, my brother.
Yeah.
So my brother sent me this interesting hypothetical. He says, okay, the Cowboys sign you today.
Uh-huh.
And in your current non-elite shape, like you and
Okay.
I would say we are not in the best shape of our lives right now.
This is not my playing weight.
No, it's not your playing weight.
No.
But they put you through a week of 2-a-days, like
Sure.
to get you ready and stuff like that. You're starting next week against Green Bay.
Yeah.
You get to pick your position.
Yeah.
Non-special teams. You're not allowed to pick you're not allowed to be the punter or the deep snapper or the holder.
Yeah.
What position do you pick?
Safety.
Interesting.
Safety.
Okay. Why?
I'm not fast enough to catch anyone in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So the worst case scenario, accepting that I would get burned on everything, people would be flying by me. But the worst case scenario is I need to make an open field tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I am a big guy. I mean, big enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm like 6'2", 220, 225. I'm pretty confident that, look, I'm not excited about Eddie Lacy running right at me, but if my worst case scenario is I got to drop a shoulder and spear at his knees, I'm confident I can survive that.
Okay.
I may get my bell rung. It's not going to be pretty, but I'll be the safety, get burned over the top, and all the worst case scenario is I got to go, here comes Gronk, here comes Eddie. I got to lower the shoulder, go for the knees, and try to get through it.
Okay, that's interesting.
I'm not trying to wrap those guys up. I'm not trying to die.
Because here's my thing.
Yeah.
Assuming that they're like the assumption in this hypothetical is that you are going to be playing a rather significant number of plays. Like, let's say you're going to be playing half the game,
We will be losing 42-0 in the first quarter because they'll just throw.
They're
over
going
my
right
head.
at you.
Right at me
They're
the
going
whole
right
way.
at you.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going slot receiver.
You're gonna die.
Oh, of course I will.
You're gonna die. I don't want to die.
But I won't cost the team. No, I'm not going to die. Do you know why?
They won't throw it to
They
you.
won't throw it to me. That takes it out of my
here's
hands.
The thing, though. You're gonna have to crack block on like a linebacker.
That's
You're
fine.
still gonna die.
I'll die then, but I won't cost my team the game. They
I'm
will.
fine.
They can operate the offense around me. All they're going to say is, "Hey, Greg, run a really slow 5-yard out."
See, it's interesting the two ways we approach this. I approach this as, how do I get out of this game alive?
I'm-
You approached it from, how do I not cost the team the game?
That's exactly where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that the chances of me dying at the wide receiver position are less than me dying at the
I
safety
think you're
position.
underestimating the insanity and toughness of a slot receiver and what they go through in a game.
Maybe I am.
You're probably going to get killed.
I mean, I'm probably getting killed.
Like,
either
I look
way.
at guys like Welker and Julian Edelman, and I'm like, they are crazy people.
Yeah.
What they are willing to do across the middle of the field is a kamikaze mission.
See, and that's the thing. If they asked me to run a route across the middle of the field, I'd run the wrong route.
That's
I've got a little bit of control over this.
But the routes are there for a reason. Even if you're not an option in the route, you are pulling attention away from another space that is required for another receiver.
I think that the ability of them to game plan around me is greatest if I'm playing slot receiver.
They are game planning around you already. They are looking through you
Oh, I
because
know.
you're on the field.
That's the thing, is that they're going to send that
Also,
corner.
You also underestimate
or that safety.
You also underestimate the part of a defensive football player who is looking to light up the jabroni out there who shouldn't be on the field.
Sure, but I think that
Like, they're like, you're the punter at slot receiver. They're like, oh, good. Here we go.
I know.
I think you're thinking you're getting through this way easier than you are.
I don't think I'm getting through it easy.
I'm telling you.
I think I'm getting
safety,
through it. I think I'm getting through it dead.
I am support. They want to go one-on-one. They burn me over the top. Fine. I'll get pass interference penalties. I will dive at knees. I will miss. It doesn't matter, but at least I'm putting forth an effort, and I'm not completely ruining everything, and I get out alive.
I just don't want to cost my team the game. I'm a team player, and I think that the place where I can cost my team the game the least
is slot
is
receiver.
at slot receiver.
Okay.
Third receiver, because then you've got two other receiving routes plus a tight end plus a running back. You've got other options besides me.
I would
I could be your
actually,
fifth option.
if you're going from your strategy, put me in at quarterback. and I will hand the ball off 80 times.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
But that would, then they just load up against the run.
Sure, but I think you're arguing it's basically the same argument as what you're saying. You're taking yourself out of the game at that position, but you're not blocking, so you're going to cost people.
You still got to catch a snap.
Oh, I snap and hand off. Look, you weren't a college athlete.
Whoa, here we go.
And I'm not still, but taking a snap, handing off, toss. You know what? 2 weeks of practice.
Okay,
good. We're running 80 running plays.
It.
If we're going with your strategy, I'm still saying safety.
But then they would literally bring all 11, and all you got to do is make one throw. And you make one throw, and you're a hero.
I'm willing to take that chance and get smashed.
Quarterback's not a bad position.